All right, quiet on the set.
All right, gotcha.
This weekend SEC football promo. Take 2. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your guy, Mr. Fingers, coming to you live from Zagnif Central.
Hey, and I'm Colin P., your brother from another. What it is, Showbiz?
I will tell you what it is, Showbiz. You guys, welcome to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. But before we get started, do us a little favor. If you're watching us on the YouTube, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button if you have not done so already. We appreciate you much. And if you want to be a contributor to the show, a little something to help the cause, right down there in the bottom, in the lower third, in the crawl, rolling across your screen is the address for our Patreon page. We got some great perks for those of you that are contributors and regular viewers of the show, because we appreciate you so very, very much. So, Colin, my man, I think it's time to get this show started. What you say?
My man, let's lay the hammer down.
Oh, you know we gonna do something before 2 something. Club Shay coming right at you right after this. Oh, hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls.
What Bama does, what Bama do.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, gang, what's going on? What's going on? How are you doing? I'm excited to be here. And welcome to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I am one half of the crew coming to you live from Zagnif Central in the heart of Oklahoma, where the wind comes whipping down the plain and sometimes around the corner and through your fence and knock it over and tear tiles off your roof. Oklahoma City, and that fella right over there, that guy, all decked out in the red and black, is the brother from another, the sexy mother Hubbard, the ace of base in the place, in your face. I'm very happy to be here because halftime is my favorite part of the game. I recently have been placed in charge of garbage. Do you have any that requires disposal? He is Colin P. from the DMV in the SEC. What's going on with you?
Hey, man. Hopefully I don't be put in charge of garbage disposal, man. I feel like it. I feel like I've been working my butt off these past couple of days. But hey, it is what it is. What is it with you, man? What is Showbiz? What's happening with you?
Oh, man, you know how it goes. Lazy weekend, trying to watch some football. Tried to watch some NFL games yesterday, but the best thing they had to offer us outside of Dallas and the Bengals was the end of the very, very end of. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, my wife was saying the Cardinals came back. I was like, really? I missed all of that. And so yeah, it was a pretty chill weekend, man. It was a really chill weekend. I've been having a lot of those lately, and I thoroughly am enjoying that.
I hear that, man.
Oh, man. So those of you that are watching, appreciate you tuning in. Like we said earlier on, if you're watching right now, go ahead and click the like button no matter what platform you're watching on. Hit the share button. If you're not already subscribed to the Zagnif One Network streaming page, if you're not subscribed to the Zagnif Productions IG, I had to look on the screen and see them up there, see which one we got. If you're not subscribed to those, go ahead and subscribe. And most importantly, hit that button with the little arrow, the one that looked like a little crooked fish hook, and go ahead and send out a share so people can know that we are here. We are here, and we are here. So thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I know, your boy Tua. We didn't get that game out here, though, man. We didn't get that game here. I would have loved to watch that game.
Yeah.
We didn't get
He did
that
show
game.
out.
Tua had a Tua. Wait a minute. Why you had to say he showed up like when he was in college? Why you got to make a brother have flashbacks? That's not even
Right?
nice.
Okay.
We won the championship this past January. I thought we had got past second and
Why are you
26.
bringing up old stuff?
Why you got to bring up old stuff, Craig? I'm just saying. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump right on into it, y'all, because there was a lot of stuff happening this weekend. There was some good stuff, there was some bad stuff. We just gonna go ahead and get right on into it. So, yes, of course, what we had to do, we changed the format a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Our boys did it again. 48-7 win over South Carolina, over the Gamecocks or the Sir Big Spurs or the Colonels or the you know what Commanders. I won't say it because I don't want us to get kicked off none of the platforms that we own. But we rolled over them. I got to be completely honest. I feel like an idiot for saying that. I mean, after watching that performance, I won't say an idiot, but you know me. I'm a Georgia sports fan. I'm always cautiously optimistic. I want to believe that our boys can do the thing, but at the beginning of the season, I said, they might have made some improvements. They might be able to give us a run for their money. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing, Mr. Spencer. You making it relevant because it's an SEC show. Okay, we got jokes. You can talk about how Baker lost. Well, yeah, you could talk about that. But see, hey, you keep throwing shade, keep throwing low-key shade at me if you want to. Don't forget, I got comment access to your shows too, sir. I see you on Wednesday. I see you on Wednesday in the comments. Anyway, the boys rolled to a 48-7 win. First conference game of the season. Didn't look like they broke a sweat doing it. Stetson did what Stetson does. Brock Bauer did what Brock Bauer does. Ladd McConkey. I think they're trying to start a campaign to make Ladd McConkey a Heisman candidate or something, because Ladd McConkey ran jet sweeps. He caught passes. He did punt returns. He did kick returns. The only thing that he didn't do was play defense and play water boy. But he did everything. That boy was everywhere at all times. I think it was one of the most complete, I think, so far this season, just in terms of, I think it was a
come back.
What'd you see?
I look like you're freezing on me, man. So yeah, no, I can kind of guess what you were saying there, but yeah, I mean Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, he's got some definitely improvement to do. I mean, our defense was good, and Brock Bowers. I mean, what can you say about him? And I'm with you on McConkey. I think they're trying to make him a slash player, and they're doing just that. But yeah, I mean, we were all over Spencer Rattler. He couldn't make it. He had to hurry his throws and stuff, and had to make bad decisions. But our defense looked pretty good. I mean, I know that we put all the bench. All the second, third string guys in, and even the defense still was mad that they scored that one touchdown. So
that means they still got that fire. They still got the fire and vinegar, the piss and vinegar in them from last year. They want to keep that tradition going. They want to bring the junkyard dogs back. That makes me feel very, very, very good. I was happy to see more from the defense. I did see a couple of plays where some South Carolina receivers did get behind the defenders, which was a little bit concerning, but the front seven kind of stepped up a little bit against South Carolina. So like I said, Kirby may be playing the Nick Saban game. You know how Nick likes to play that long game, keep that ace in your pocket, and then pull a I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Sean. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He's gonna pull a 2nd and 26 and bench Jalen and throw in Tua, or he'll bench Tua and throw in Jalen. I think Kirby's starting to dig into the bag of tricks now. So I don't know. Like, this is, and let's be real. We played Samford, we played South Carolina, and now we opened up against Oregon, but we played Samford and we played.
Yeah, and I kind of didn't see what happened with South Carolina. What happened. I kind of figured they would put up more to fight.
Oh, 100%. I thought there was going to be definitely more of a fight than what we got.
There.
I did.
Playing there, be more of
a. Because I mean, dude, it was so bad that by halftime, I shared the Twitter post on on all the different platforms. By halftime, the fans were streaming out of the stadium. Like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't even have any faith. They didn't even have any faith that their team could launch a second half comeback. They just balled out. And by the third dogs during the kickoff, at the beginning of the game, by the third quarter, it was all dog fans.
Yeah.
So, once again, the boys show up and do what they do, how they do it. And I'm very, very impressed. Overreaction Monday, huh, Sean? Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Right.
one point I wanted to make is like look at Stetson. Stetson was throwing up. Well, he didn't throw up all game, but I mean, like he was, it was the heat, and they were pumping full of like liquid and hydrating him too much. And Kirby said that after the game that he actually had too much water in him or whatever. He said that he was having a had dry heave, and he said, "Coach, I just got to throw up," and he threw up, and then he was fine. But they couldn't drag him out of the game. What Kirby said, he didn't want to come out. They tried to get him out.
You don't think he went out partying the night before, had himself a little old granddad like he did before the before the parade?
Some wild turkey. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I think, like I said, I think he's got one goal and one goal only this year. I mean, you kind of tell in the swagger. He might have. I don't know. But
I mean, the calls are. We're starting to see these stories. And Will was on last week, and he did say that their fans felt a little hope, but I really didn't think that they were going to just tap out in the second half, just completely get up and leave. Generally speaking, if your team is getting whooped, you don't see the fans get up and ball out until like maybe halfway through the third quarter or after the third quarter when they realize, hey, we're down by 8 touchdowns, we're not coming back. They put in their second string, and the second string scored a touchdown or two. These folks balled out by halftime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it probably was also hella hot. We'd all talking about playing football in the South during the dead of the dog days of summer, rolling in the fall. And we know down in South Carolina, North South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, we don't really get fall until late October.
Exactly.
Actually, it's not officially fall. It's not official.
Was that South Carolina pulled the air conditioning trick? They had no air conditioning in the locker room, so they had to bring. I mean, they did bring their own air conditioning. Georgia did.
Oh, Georgia brought that. Georgia came prepared. They brought their own.
They brought their 50,000 BTU.
I don't know. That's cold. That's real cold. That's very cold.
Very cold.
Hot. Damn hot.
But anyway, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Sean. I think that if Spencer Rattler had an offensive line in front of him to give him some protection, he could be a decent quarterback. I just don't think that. I think that his time in Oklahoma, and he's put front right now. But remember from last season, it was round about the time they played Texas for Red River, right about mid-season. That's when you saw him unravel. If he has another couple weeks like this.
Well, I mean, you saw
his another couple weeks like this.
I think he did his own undoing, because I mean, like, honestly, did you see the quote he had like before the season started? He said SEC is a lot easier than coming from USC. He said I should be able to do well. I mean, and I'm paraphrasing, but I think it was more of a beating my chest type of comment. But I think he thought he.
I want to know where, in what world. I want to know in what world it is that you think that playing football in the SEC is easier than playing in the Big 12. I want to know what world he's living in. I'm serious. I mean, November of 2018, they passed a law that said that people could sell stuff that used to be illegal. I think he has been availing himself of some of the products of some of those places. Yeah. You understand what I'm telling you?
Oh yeah.
Like where in what world?
I make sure you got a good offensive line before you start talking your noise. So I mean, make sure you got some protection before you start saying.
100%, man. 100%. I mean, he had Oklahoma last year. Sean makes the point.
Mm-hmm.
You get out of my head, Godfather. Sean makes the point. He had a better team last year in Norman,
right,
than he does in Columbia.
Absolutely. I think what he was getting into.
I don't think he did. I think he felt the need to get away from Oklahoma, because even if Lincoln left and Caleb left, people were always going to compare him. And Norman, they were always going to compare him to Caleb, and he was trying to get a fresh start. So I feel what he was trying to do. But in the same vein, I mean, dude, you probably have a chance. I mean, those boys are doing big things right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't quite hit full stride yet. They know they're either the offense is 100% clicking or the defense is 100% clicking.
Sure.
And then they catch up with each other at halftime. But they're doing some decent things this year. And he could have been at the helm of all of that if he'd stuck around. But I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing for that. But having said that, we're going to move on to our next segment. Congratulations to the Dogs. Next week, the Dogs welcome Kent State to Sanford Stadium, and South Carolina takes on Charlotte University. So that's what they got in store next week.
I don't even think that game's on SEC Plus.
You're not even relevant even to the networks when you're not even on the SEC Network Plus or ESPN Plus. But before we move into our next game, we're going to go ahead and show a little love to our boy Sid Swinton with his venture, Squid Rips Cards. You want cards? He's got them. And here's how you get them. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's right. Get at our guy, Sid Swinton. He is the subject matter expert. Let's talk football subject matter expert on all things football cards. He's getting his hands on them. He's on TikTok a couple times a week live at the same tag, Squid Rips Cards. Get at him to get your cards today. We're going to move on to our next game of the week, and this one really came as, I don't know why it surprised me that it came out this way, but Penn State rolls into Auburn and just completely embarrasses Auburn. I wanted to believe in Auburn. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to believe in Auburn. I wanted to believe that Harsin was helping them turn the corner and getting them prepped to be able to do great things this year. And maybe it was too much to expect for them to beat Penn State, but I didn't expect them to get embarrassed the way they got embarrassed. I mean, that was just bad. What you got on this one, man?
Yeah, no, that definitely didn't. I didn't see that coming. But you're right. They absolutely got embarrassed. I mean, it was like TJ Finley couldn't get anything going. I mean, he had 152 yards and one interception, no scores. They ended up putting in Ashford, I guess, his backup. They had 144 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Looked like Bigsby, Tank didn't get too. He didn't get too much on the ground either. He had like 39 yards and. His longest run was like 12 yards, but then they had some other running backs try.
He didn't get 100 yards in total offense between passing and rushing.
Yeah, exactly. So
he came with close.
Yeah, and it looks like Clifford. Like they had 4 quarterbacks play. Penn State did. But Clifford took most of the snaps. He had 178 yards, and no touchdowns, no picks. But it just, I didn't see that coming. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it just looks like they're on the downward spiral. I don't think there's any kind of right in the ship. You know what I mean? Like Auburn. I don't think there's any.
Dude, but can we back up for a second? You mentioned Clifford. Can we give some love, even though they're not an SEC team? Can we give some love to Sean Clifford for that hit that he took in the first quarter? And bruh, I was like, I was like Smokey and Craig. Damn.
Yeah, that was D. Cleater if I ever saw him.
And he popped back up. Oh, that's a grown man right there. When you take a hit like that and you bounce back up, there's one or two things. You either got up too quick and you get ready to fall back down, and you get ready to come back and like, is that all you got? He popped up like Della Reese and fighting Eddie Murphy in the alley in Harlem Nights. Is that the best you got? And kept going.
Yeah.
And kept going. I mean, dude, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, I tried not to really dig too deep into the stats because I wanted to talk about the game. But let's look at this for a second. Finley went 11 of 19 for 152 yards with 1 fumble and 1 interception. And then he got pulled in the third quarter. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is the guy. This is the guy. Remember, this is the guy that Brian Harsin, who had his job on the line, said, no, this is my guy. This is the guy I want on the center. This is the guy I want to keep. Well, of course, now Bo Nix, it might have been after Bo Nix ran for the hills because he might have said, no, Bo's my guy. Bo and me and Bo been tight. This is my dude. I wanted him to play since I came here. But he said, this is my guy. I don't care who you send in here. This is going to be my guy. He's got heart. And I gave him all kinds of props last season. He's got heart. He's got determination. He's got the will. He's got this, that, and the third. And he went out there. I mean, did you use that bad interception he threw in the first quarter when they chased him out of the pocket to the right? And he threw the ball. He still tried to make that pass off balance. Everybody can't be Pat Mahomes.
No.
That was bad.
That was horrible. I mean, it makes you make those kinds of bad decisions when your job is on the line. I mean, he's got to see the writing on the wall too. You got to look at all these players. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at when Bo Nix leaving. We thought Tank was going to have a good year as far as running the ball and that kind of stuff, getting massive yards. Nah, ain't happening.
Yeah, I got something for you too, Mr. Tank Bixby. All that noise you talked about Bo Nix, and Bo Nix was going to take all my yards, and I can't get no yards, and Bo Nix is here. Well, Bo Nix ain't here no more, and you have showed us one really decent game and one really good game and one halfway decent game. What did you do this week? You look pretty civilian this week. That's all I got to say about you, Mr. Tank Bixby. You know what though? You got 9 more games to go. You got a hot flaming big super uppercase L this week. With the flames coming off of it, it's still steaming. They just took it out the wok because I heard you like Asian food, so we cooked it in the wok for you. But you better show me something next week. I got another one for you, dude. I'm just saying, man. They all look bad. Tank's big, Tank made all that noise. And here's the bad thing. If you look at the stat line, it wasn't like Penn State dominated the game. Time of possession was relatively equal. Third down conversions were relatively equal. Total yardage was relatively equal. You know what the difference maker was for this game? And I'm getting riled up because I wanted to root for Brian Harsin. We were rooting in the words of Tyra Banks. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm upset because I wanted to say that they was trying to do a railroad job on this dude. But here's what happened when the rubber meets the road, and we're gonna talk about another team here in a minute that made a fourth quarter come. When you dig down and suck up a gut and go, we behind, but we can still win this thing. The front four didn't even show up. The front four gave up. Halfway through the third quarter, the front four gave up. Penn State was marching that ball up and down the field like General Sherman marching to the shore. Seriously. That's a Civil War reference for those of y'all that didn't get that. But anyway, what I'm saying, they gave up, dude. It's like, here's the difference. When Penn State executed. Auburn executed to about the 30-yard line, and then the crap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to your point, I mean, the score doesn't dictate the game.
No, it doesn't. Auburn is 2-1, and they got Mizzou next week. That's all I got to say about Penn State. I'm not gonna waste. I'm not gonna waste no more breath on that game. And Brian Harsin, they coming for you. If your seat wasn't hot before, it's hot now. Lose one more game. Look, I'm gonna tell you, like my mom used to tell me, come in my house one more time and leave the door open. You hear me? Don't mess with me. Lose one more game, they gonna get you. I'm saying. And then speaking of, how many more mulligans do you think he gets? Let's just be real. How many more mulligans do you think he gets?
That's a great question, because I mean, like, you and I have talked this at nauseum, actually. Like, after everything's going on, the AD gone, like stepping down, whatever. I don't know. I mean, like, we talked about it. It's like you told me that you figured he'd done been gone right after this one, but I mean, at the same point, we kind of mentioned, the money that that Auburn still may owe him. If they get rid of him early, I mean, you got to weigh the pros and the cons. You know what I'm saying? If you want to ride out the season and just continue to, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but I mean, it could be the worst situation imaginable. You not win another game, ride this out, and save some money, or do you buy him out now and then you have to pay him? Because they're still paying Gus, right? You told me they're paying.
And that's the thing, is they're still paying Gus. So if they fire him now, they got to pay him out. I haven't looked at the numbers to see what they got to pay him out, but they fire him now. They got to pay him out. We all know that Auburn is the little brother of Alabama. They got some good sized boosters, but they don't have the kind of boosters that Alabama has.
Yeah.
So the boosters have spent a lot of money trying to maneuver and get stuff together to get a new coach in there. They also probably was. I don't have any confirmations to this, so don't say nothing that Mr. Finger said nothing. You could tell him that Mr. Finger said this is what he think, but this ain't fact. I think it was a bag man that went to the athletic director and said, "Hey, look, here's some little early retirement money for you, because he just up and retired out of the blue.
Yeah.
So now all the obstacles have been removed to fire him. Everything has been set into place. But now what do you do? Because now you got kids that you've been trying to recruit. They're going to look and go, okay, this is their second coach fired.
Yeah.
In 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to coach? Now the question is going to be, who's going to coach there?
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, the coaches are now few and far between. I mean,
they're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything less than a big splash hire. And all of the people that are available for big splash hire, the only person that I know of that's still available, we saw him at the Nebraska game in the booth on Saturday. And I don't know if anybody wants him coming to coach their team, especially after what he did with the what he did to the Jaguars. So we're not even gonna call his name. Now, to answer your question, Mr. Spencer, was this a Big Ten versus SEC matchup versus one decent team versus a trouble program, or what are our thoughts? I think I'm going to be completely honest. I have always thought that Penn State was a good middle of the rack second tier team. Okay. Like they haven't been as dominant as they were during the dominant period of Joe Paterno. But I mean, they've had some up and down years, but Penn State is generally a good middle of the rack to right beneath the bottom of the top of the second tier team in recent years. And I know that I thought this was going to be more of an even matchup because Auburn was showing us some things, but I guess maybe it was just because they were beating up on the nobodies that they were beating up on the little nobodies that they were making things happen. I mean, to answer your second question, outside of
I got something that one, Anthony. So I'm saying, like, you look at Penn State and you look at Auburn. You know, Penn State have been on the come up after all the scandals and whatever with Joe Paterno, that kind of stuff. You know, they've been slowly but surely getting better, trying to get out from underneath that black cloud. And, you know, you kind of saw that in the Auburn game, you know, and Auburn's in the completely opposite situation. I mean, they're steadily following that black cloud. So, I mean, you know, I don't know, to answer his question, I mean, I think it's one on the come up and one on the downward slide, you know.
So you think they're just two ships passing each other in the night going opposite directions?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Put it simple, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. To answer your question, Sean, your second question about how good is he really, I guess we know now. I mean, knowing that the last time we really saw him was in the Iron Bowl, and that was the last thing that we had imprinted on our brains. You know, that's what I went with. I was like, I didn't pay him too much mind last year because I was so busy being caught up in the Dogs might actually win a national championship. Oh my God. Right. So I'm watching them and I'm watching Bama and I'm watching Bama and I'm watching Georgia. But I wasn't really watching Auburn like that. But that was
to be fair, you don't have a big enough sample size. Really, like how many games did he actually play? I mean, he got put in. But then you had Nix, you know, majority of the games. And then, you know, he got – and to be fair, when Finley got in the games, he actually did shine. You know, he did play fairly well, you know.
Yeah. Answer this last question, and we're going to move on to our next little topic here. A big splash, how? Well, let's see. The biggest thing is I got you, but my point is that they at this point, with the history that they've had, they went from Chizik winning the national championship to Gus Malzahn, and then there was a decline under Gus, and then they got rid of Gus, and now they have Brian Harsin, and Brian Harsin has already shown us out the gate that I mean, unless he's a slow bloomer who will all of a sudden blow up in year 3 and run them all the way to a conference championship, that he's probably not going to add anything to the program. So in order for them, and you have 2 to 3 years of recruits that have been watching Auburn going, I don't know if I really want to go there. Right. And so in order to bring something in, it's just like when Coach O left LSU went and got Brian Kelly, a big name from Notre Dame. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but that could be a little bar. So that's what I mean, like a big splash coach, somebody that has established himself as a good coach, maybe not a great coach, but that has established himself as a good coach. And I'm not even knocking Brian Kelly because he did great things in the program at Notre Dame. They just couldn't get over the hump. So that's what they're looking at. And I don't know. I mean, but will a big splash solve the problem? I don't know. Probably not. What's going on, Nate? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us. But the one Nathan Snell of the Big Nate Sports Podcast. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to move on to our next topic here. How about this one right here, man? I don't even know. I'm not mad at it. Vanderbilt is
Not at
3-1. Huh?
I said,
I'm
not
gonna say
at
that
all.
again for the people in the back. I'm gonna say that for the people in the back. Vanderbilt is 3-1. Now, bear in mind they are in our division, so we wanted, kind of keep that in mind. But Vanderbilt is 3-1. That is something we have not seen in a very long time. So
That's right.
cherish this while you have this here. I'm gonna leave this here for a second to let y'all just marinate on it. We gonna just leave it here for a minute. Do 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 do
Yeah.
do. Vanderbilt is 3-1. They beat Northern Illinois this past weekend. And Vanderbilt, this is what I wanted to talk about. Fourth quarter comebacks. Vanderbilt was down going into the halftime. Vanderbilt was down. Let me see here. Vanderbilt was down and they scored 24 unanswered points
Mm-hmm.
in the second half to come back and win that game. That's something you don't see Vanderbilt do anymore.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Mike Wright is still on the bench, but AJ Swan came out and had 4 touchdown passes and ran for 4 touchdown passes, and Ron Davis had another rushing TD. Vanderbilt is doing things we've never seen them do before. So while I don't think they're at they're not ready to be the upper echelon yet, Clark Lee's really got them boys believing. Now the back end of their schedule, I'm gonna be honest, the back end of their schedule does not look pretty. Somebody gonna run up in them real dirty. It's gonna start a backslide.
They're gonna bring them back to reality for sure. I mean, like it's awesome to see them doing as well as they are. And and with a backup quarterback in Swan, he balled out against Northern Illinois. I mean, it was a 38-28 game. I mean, like you said, they were down, and to march down the field and come, lead a comeback like that is very impressive for Alabama, for Vanderbilt. But yeah, I mean, it's maybe like
you watch your mouth. You watch your mouth. Hey, oh my God! Wait a minute, hold on. You had the first love of the show. That never happens. It's always me.
That makes it better. But no, and maybe the coach lit a fire. Maybe that kind of resonated a little bit. They had that one little hiccup, that one loss. I mean, but they balling out for the coach. Maybe that.
Well, I can't really call losing to Wake Forest a hiccup, sir. Wake Forest is a better than decent school. Everybody that's watching this show right now will agree. Mr. Sean Spencer, why don't you go ahead and jump on in there and tell him how decent Wake Forest is? Because Sean is one guy that always has said, Sean, since we've been doing shows together, has always said, don't sleep on Wake Forest.
Yeah, but he said they had.
If I'm misquoting you, sir, please let me know.
So, he said
it was potentially possible. He said they had the potential if they had the momentum and everything fell, and if the chips fell in the right place. Yeah. And unfortunately, the week before it didn't. But Vanderbilt is still 3-0. So you know what? We're gonna give Vanderbilt a little love. It's not something we do a lot because we always give Vanderbilt the blues. So Vanderbilt, we giving y'all a little bit of love right now. There you go. We proud of you. Little brother learned how to ride the bike without falling off with the wheels. Without falling off the wheels there. Without the training wheels.
They took one off and they go in the circle.
So the next one I want to get into is Texas A&M. What the hell's going on with Texas A&M?
Ooh, I don't know, man. That's just.
I mean, the score says that they won the game. Okay, you dig what I'm saying? I mean, the rules say that at the end when the clock hit triple zeros at the end of the fourth quarter, the team with the most points is declared the winner. So by that technicality, Texas A&M won. Now that's not to say that Miami is a slouch of a team and they should have run roughshod over them. But the fact that generally speaking, I'm no subject matter expert on football, but anytime you hold a team to 3 field goals, you should be able to beat them by more than 8 points. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, not at all. But I mean, this was in all counts an upset, right? So I mean, nobody thought A&M. I mean, they're 24 and Miami's 13. So I mean, I get what you're saying. But I mean, I don't know. Was it a defensive struggle? I mean, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, let's break that. Like, okay, here's what Texas A&M brought to the table, and I did break this stat line down. Here's what Texas A&M brought to the table. Mm-hmm. Their defense had 0 sacks and 0 interceptions, and this is a team that so far, aside from the loss to Appalachian State, has limited their opponents to 8.7 points per game. Okay. 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, 0 hurries, 0 passes defended. They were 4 of 12 on third down. And in 4 quarters of football, they managed to drum up 264 total yards. That's it. Between the passing and the running on offense. Throwing the ball, running the ball.
I got you.
And Max Johnson, yeah, you see the football game or two. You know how this works. I mean, and then they had 140 yards and 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Max Johnson had. Max Johnson had. So what do you say, man?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I just like, I mean, it kind of, I don't know. It's just like who, not who can score the most points, who can score the less points and win. So I mean, it's just like I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you though. I mean, like having that kind of stuff. I mean, they should have actually won by more than what they, the score dictates. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really didn't catch too much of the game. Was it a defensive struggle? I mean, like was the defenses? I mean, was anything like popping on defense? I know you said no sacks or no interceptions or anything like that, but was it just with the defense? Like, is that why they didn't?
Here's what Miami brought to the table defensively. They got 3 sacks and a fumble recovery.
Okay.
So I mean, so
it wasn't. Stat line, they should have won, right? I mean, the stat line, you would think.
The stat line ran pretty even, but I mean, this is what I have to say about this. Jimbo Fisher did a whole lot of talking because remember, it's we catching up on the anniversary of them beating Bama, the 1-year anniversary. Jimbo Fisher did a whole lot of chest thumping. His chest and our statements, you know what, and Nick was like, you know what, in golf. And then they talked about how Nick Saban bought all of his players and they had the #1 recruiting class, and they did all of that. And so far, what they have shown us in 3 games is losing to Appalachian State. Not that Appalachian State's a slouch, but they lost to Appalachian State and they barely squeaked by. They squeaked by score-wise. When I say squeak by, this is what I mean when I say they squeak by like Debo's bicycle.
Yeah,
that's.
But I mean, you noticed last week he was very quiet. I mean, you didn't hear too much from him after he got beat by App State. He didn't say too much. Like you didn't hear nothing from him. So I mean, you're right though. Absolutely, I agree with you.
You're right, Sean. It does depend on your opinion of Miami. I do think I see more fire out of Miami this year out of the gate than we did last year. That's for sure.
That's for
now. Are they going to be able to sustain that? I mean, they do have a first-year coach, but he seems to have these guys. It's just like Clark Lee's got Vanderbilt believing. He's got those guys believing down there. So I mean, what do I say to that? I think Miami is much. I won't say I think they're going to give a couple. I think there's going to be a couple more games where they're going to shock some folks. They might not beat them, but they might hold them down like they held down Texas A&M. Yep. I mean, and this, you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, this is what A&M has coming down the road. They got Arkansas with Bumper Pool. That grown man. Bumper Pool's a grown man. I'm gonna watch me get my Scooter Magruder on. Bumper Pool is a grown man. I think he's still the sack leader in the SEC right now. And Arkansas is scoring 37.7 per game and 500 yards per game.
Oh, yeah.
And we both predicted, mind you, that A&M was going to lose to Arkansas. They're going to have to tighten up. Then after that, they play Mississippi State, and they're averaging 420 yards per game and 34.7 points.
Yeah.
A&M is averaging 20.7 points per game. If you can't score more than 3 touchdowns a game, your defense better be jam up and jelly tight. Now, like I said, they've been holding, aside from App State, they've held everybody to, well, they didn't hold Miami to 8 points, but the average is 8.7 per game. But after that, who they got on deck? Bama. Then they get a semi-sort of week off at South Carolina, and then they play Ole Miss. That's 4 games. That's 4 games right there. We already projected a loss against Arkansas. I didn't look to see who else we thought we were going to lose to. But they're not going to get no cut cards with Bama, and they're not going to get no cut cards with Ole Miss neither. So they better tighten up. But Jimbo Fisher is going to be real quiet going into the offseason. Real quiet.
What do you think? Do you think what was the effect on like his job as far as like losing to App State? I mean, I guess obviously this win here, kind of, I guess, loosened up the seat a little bit. Do you think he was ever on the hot seat? Like you think that after that
Nah,
loss.
I don't think he's on the hot seat because there's still 9 more weeks of regular season football to play.
Yeah.
Because A, that was not a conference loss. B, they still have the opportunity to, not that I think they will, but the availability is there for them to run the table in the
Yeah.
West and get a berth in the conference championship.
In my
Now,
opinion, that's a
if he
too early loss.
if he yeah and if he stumbles stumbles, then they might pull him in and say, hey, look, we're gonna give you another year, maybe two, but if you can't get it done next year, then we might have to start talking. So
Yeah.
that's what we
I
got
mean,
on that one.
close his
Now
mouth a
moving
little
on,
bit.
yeah, moving on. In another squeaker, Florida rode the Debo. Florida rode the Debo bite this week too. Hit that Debo.
Yeah, buddy.
Florida squeaked by USF. Now I'm not dogging USF in any way, shape, form, or fashion. USF has been a formidable opponent, a Group of 5 team for quite some time now. But Florida, I mean, Anthony Richardson, you cannot throw interception in the fourth quarter. You can't do it when the
Yeah.
game is close. You almost gave the game away. If it wasn't for Etienne scoring a touchdown,
And you look at the score. Look at the score. That's another game that doesn't dictate what I mean. Like Anthony Richardson had 112 yards passing, 2 interceptions, no touchdown, right? And the numbers are just abysmal. Like I mean, how did they get that many that points? If you're just looking at the scores, right? If you're just looking at the
if
score.
you're just looking at the score, absolutely 100%. So Florida gets the squeak by award along with A&M this week. We're gonna keep this thing moving along to the next couple of games. We got so we're gonna talk about a couple of games here. LSU, that was a statement game for LSU.
Absolutely,
For sure.
was.
I think that was more of a statement game than beating up on Southern last week. We kind of knew going there they were going to win against Southern. This was more of a statement game because Mississippi State is no slouch. While
Right.
Mississippi State might not win a division, Mississippi State will give a few people a black eye in the West every single
Will
year.
Rogers, Will
So
Rogers,
this
great
was
quarterback.
definitely more of a statement.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I seem to recall having a conversation with Sean, and Sean is good about correcting me if I haven't said it, but I seem to remember having a conversation with Sean, and this is what Sean hit me on to the air raid offense that they run. That if you have a team who the basis of their entire offense is passing, if you do anything to pull that passing attack back and you got no rush to fall back on, that's where you're in trouble. And this is one of those opportunities there now. I mean, they got Will through it, and they got Will Rogers they got him an interception. They keyed up on the pass game. The rushing attack, you got to do better than that. I mean, that's just something where I know that's what Leach does. That's his offense. That's his bread and butter. But this is a perfect example of what can happen when you play a team that knows what you prey on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I think Brian Kelly's starting to earn a little bit of goodwill in Baton Rouge. Moving on to the next game, ULM at Bama. We know how that one went, 63-7. The only thing that I saw here as far as Bama, Bama being the essentially the runners up in college football last year and all of college football D1. Was it me or did Bryce just look kind of pedestrian? Now, here's the backup. Here's the backup. Here's what I was talking about. Just like I was talking about before. Be strong. So where Bryce only completed 18 passes and two picks, he still got 3 touchdowns. But on the other side, they had 273 rushing yards between 8 different rushers. Bama, and then they were 1 of 6 on third down, but they still make the 3-0. And next up, they got Vanderbilt. Y'all pray for Vanderbilt, please. Pray for Vanderbilt. You know how y'all put all them little things. You know how you put all them little things up, like the people are saying, pray for Puerto Rico right now. Y'all pray for Vanderbilt because they're getting ready to get run up in. Let's see here, Akron at Tennessee at Neyland Stadium, 63-6. We pretty much expected that.
You know,
Tennessee has Florida up next. They moved to 3-0. I think we had Tennessee projected to beat Florida. Let's see what else we got here. Hendon Hooker is playing out of his mind football right now.
absolutely. Yes, sir. So we got Ole
What you
Miss
got
is
on that?
Georgia Tech. So I mean, and that wasn't a surprise. Ole Miss
Good. That's the next game I was going to. Ole Miss beat Georgia Tech. Good.
yeah.
Talk about clean old fashioned.
Yeah.
Good. They beat them. They beat them. They held the Yellow Jackets to 214 total yards of offense. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Next up, Mississippi State got Tulsa. Sorry for your bad luck, Georgia Tech, and we coming for you at the end of the year on Thanksgiving weekend. Kentucky beats Youngstown State
Yeah.
31-0. Levis still threw two. Levis threw two. And okay, there's one for Mr. Fingers there. I'm doing
There
pretty
you
good.
go.
45 minutes in, my first one.
Tied up.
Levis threw two. Levis threw two picks, but still made the. Wow, I get two in one sentence. 377 total yards passing and 2 touchdowns. They held Youngstown to zero percentage on third down conversions. They had 2 sacks and an interception on them. They're now 3-0. Their next game is against the Northern Illinois Huskies.
Oh, that could be a
Let's
good
see
game.
who.
But here, let me interrupt you for 1 second. So let's talk about Missouri. Oh, good old Missouri playing the high school team or the Christian school or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was a Catholic high school. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I mean, yeah. It has a name for one. But I'm saying, I'm just saying that Missouri let them hang 17 on them. That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's Missouri. I mean, they did what they needed to do and got the job done and won the game. But we know that Missouri's not gonna really challenge for the West. Missouri is just. I'm sorry, it ain't the West and the East. Oh my God, I'm supposed to be the subject matter expert. Okay, Sean, you go ahead. Missouri is in the East. Haha.
Yes.
Missouri is in the East. There we go. I'm not gonna hit the horn again because that can get annoying. But they're not gonna challenge in the East, but they needed to get that done and they got that job done.
They did get the W. I was just surprised. I was surprised they got to let the 17. But go ahead. I digress.
Yeah, I'm not really all of that. And we already talked about Penn State versus Auburn. So let's get into Arkansas and Missouri State. We know how the game went. Arkansas won 38-27 and has jumped up to 3-0. But what you got on this, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, it was a high-scoring game, higher than I thought it'd be. Them playing Missouri State. But yeah, I mean, KJ Jefferson, we all know how good he is. I mean, I've been high on him for a little while. He had 385 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 1 pick though, but he had 1 rushing touchdown as well. So he had a good day, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He played well. He spread out the ball. He spread out to 6 different receivers, but it looks like it just was the defenses were on both teams were actually lacking. It was score to will. So I kind of figured they would win more, by more than this. But KJ Jefferson, he balled out. So I mean, that showed me something. And you had Raheem Sanders. He had 167 yards and a touchdown. So they ran it well on the ground. He did, as well as a couple other running backs. But this game was a little bit closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Actually, Sean made a very valid point in the comments. He said that we do tend to get a lot of cupcake games. I, for one, would like to see more home series with the Power Fives. That reminds me. I don't know if you guys saw the news or not, but the news broke, I think it was on somewhere, I think it was Thursday or Friday, that the SEC decided to cancel the home series between Georgia and Oklahoma. I, as a Georgia fan who haven't gotten to see Georgia play in person in stadium since 2006 or 7, when Matt Stafford was still their starting quarterback, was looking very eagerly forward to taking a 30-40 minute drive south of here.
Yeah.
South of here.
They canceled the game for Tennessee too now. They canceled the game for Tennessee as well.
Yeah, and they canceled it. And the reason behind it is, like, a lot of people are speculating that means they're coming to the SEC sooner. No pun intended. But what it boils down to is the SEC said that they would not be able to, with Oklahoma coming into the conference, be able to get Georgia would not be able to get the return trip from Oklahoma, which I don't get because they're not coming over into the conference till 2025.
Right.
So why wouldn't they just schedule it as unless they're trying to preserve the Auburn Georgia game, because I think we play Auburn every year if I'm not mistaken. Why not just schedule that as our SEC matchup, as our in-conference SEC matchup that season, and call it a day? But that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I would rather play. I want to be honest. I would rather play Alabama more than we play them, like during the regular season. You know what I'm saying? I would rather change out maybe one of those cupcake games or whatever. I would rather play that. Or a high caliber, team like that. And, I mean, I understand I understand why they do the cupcake games because they, those other teams, they pay the other colleges money and that kind of stuff. I get it, but I would rather we play more high caliber teams during the regular season than having to play, at the playoff stage, or if we make it,
100%, because there've been too many of these quote unquote cupcake teams that have been scheduled that have either played these SEC teams close, like Sean pointed out, with Missouri State playing them tough, or that have just outright flat out won games they weren't supposed to win. Right. Now, what does it say about Arkansas? I think that they definitely need more defense. And now with the emergence of KJ Jefferson as their quarterback, they know that KJ likes to run. So just I talked about,
Arkansas. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, my bad. What they were saying about what we said about defenses keying up on Mississippi State and that air raid offense, people are gonna start. Like, if you can shut down one aspect or another of KJ Jefferson's attack, then that takes kind of half of that takes half away what you bring to the table. So
I mean, but to Sean's point, I mean, defense played a huge part because I mean, Missouri State's quarterback had 357 yards. In passing, and he had one touchdown, but I mean, he had 357 yards, and that's just, I mean, they got to do something with the secondary, obviously. I mean, they got to do, or depending on, I don't think, and their front seven, I mean, like they let Sanders. Sanders did get 167, but they're running. Sorry, Missouri State's running game wasn't that great. I mean, it was their running back had 37 yards. But I mean, it looks like they did most of their scoring, and their yardage was their quarterback. 357 yards is huge against Arkansas.
Yeah, 100%. So that's pretty much the wrap up of the week 3 recap. We're gonna get into real quick. We're gonna let you guys know, hey, where can we see some of these other shows? You keep referencing Let's Talk Football. You've referenced these other things. And as you can see, the Godfather, we coined him, we crowned him the Godfather a couple weeks ago. The Godfather of Let's Talk Football, one half of the parental structure of our entire family of podcasts is there watching with us today. So here's a little something about where you can find each and every one of the shows in the Let's Talk Football family. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. What in the world is going on? Something happened, and that video stopped playing a lot sooner than it was supposed to. But yes, we have a whole lot of shows in the family, and you want to check those out. So we just gonna keep this thing going. We're gonna move right on into our next segment, Pardon the Technical Difficulties. Those of you watching, thank you for joining this week in the SEC football. I am Mr. Fingers. That fella right there is Colin P., the brother from another. We're gonna get into our players of the week. Well, this week's player of the week, ladies and gentlemen, I know we try not to talk too heavily about the Georgia players and give them all the love because we don't want to seem biased, but who the hell are we kidding? We're both dog fans and we love them. And this week's player of the week is none other than the mailman himself, the kid who came in as a walk-on, didn't make the team, left, went to JUCO, came back as a walk-on, had to back up Jake Fromm, had to back up JT Daniels, started last year as a backup to JT Daniels, took the helm when JT Daniels went down and ran the table all the way, except for a hiccup in the conference championship, all the way to the national championship. And now people are starting to put that H word behind his name, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to jinx anything, but none other than Mr. Stetson Bennett the fourth. Hey man, we've been giving the cat the love all last year. We gave him love. Matter of fact, you the one that turned me on to him when he first came in to get some garbage time play behind Jake Fromm. And you said, "Yo, this Bennett kid's looking pretty good." And I was like, "Dang, I don't even know who he is, but he does look good." And it was like, "Oh man, Bennett's not playing JT Daniels. Well, JT Daniels must be pretty good." And this was before I was like real deep into it. Yeah, I didn't know where this kid came from and what he was all about or whatever. The JT Daniels.
Yep.
I'm very sorry, JT. I'm sorry. You might should have stayed. Just saying, not that you might would have got no playing time, but you might should have stayed. But I understand. But I understand why. I understand why you did what you did. But and then he became the starting quarterback, and like, oh my God, if JT Daniels is not the starting quarterback, and oh my God, JT is hurt if they don't put in Carson Beck, and oh my God, and people just dogged him, and all the kid did was win week in and week out. It might not have been pretty, it might have been downright sloppy at times, but he got it done. You know what? So this week he accounted for 320 total yards of offense between passing and rushing.
The thing I loved about him was like even last year, even when he took over for JT early on, it's just the heart the kid has. He had a flip phone for God's sake, so he doesn't buy into all the social media nonsense and people talking this, that, and the other. He basically said that they don't dictate what I do. They have nothing to do with my life. And just to listen to that and kind of the personality he has, it just gravitates people to him, and it's just a great story. Number one, and that's not all it is though. But you look at him this year, like this year compared to last year, you can see complete turnaround. Not really a complete turnaround because he always had the talent, but he looks a lot more polished, a lot more poised, a lot more comfortable behind the center, and he looks different. Now a lot more games to go, but he's looked good so far.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with you and everything that you have said, 100%, sir. And we are going to, with that, we're going to move into our next. You're right, he is, Sean. You're right, he is doing well at West Virginia, but he doesn't have a whole lot to work with, and they're calling for Neil Brown's head on a plate right now. So I think with anyway, he'll be fine. And somebody's going to pick him up. Somebody's going to pick him up. He's going to get a nice little decent draft pick. But we're going to move on to our next segment, which we like to call the plays of the week, or specifically the play of the week this week, because we only picked one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our play of the week this week, there were quite a few that we could have picked up, but there was one that could not be denied this week as I was going back and looking through all of the different highlights this week. And this play happened in the Missouri game, and it is by none other than Mr. Luther Burton himself, who caught this punt on a bounce, followed the convoy around the right corner, and took it all the way to the house. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your SEC play of the week. Mr. Luther Burton with his 78-yard punt return. Of course, as we discussed earlier, Missouri did win that game. They have moved on to who do they have next week? We said that already. We spoke about that. You mentioned that. Next week. Next week they take on Auburn. They're 2-1 and they take on Auburn. So that should be an interesting game. That can wind up either being a statement game for Missouri or being the beginning of the end for Brian Harsin. So, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into the close of the show where we get our final segment, the 2-minute warning, where we give you guys a little bit of right at the 59-minute mark. So we did pretty good, right there. We almost got it. We're gonna put a little air horn. We're gonna put a little air horn on that right there, y'all. Man, so this is where we give you a little something. It can be funny, it could be sweet, it could be sad, it could be inspirational. Mine is gonna be silly. Naps are good, y'all. I'm just gonna say it. I used to, I remember being a kid, and I used to. I don't want to take a nap. I don't want to take a nap. I don't know why I sound like Bill Cosby imitating his children. I don't want to. You gotta make me take a nap. I didn't want to take a nap. I hated naps. I would lay in the bed and I'd fidget and I'd flip and I'd flop and I'd be mad. My mother said, "You got one more time to flop around in that bed like a fish. I'm gonna come in there and show you something." Then I'd lay in there.
Go to sleep, or I'll put you to sleep.
Don't think about it. Look, my Dukes had that one-hitter quitter. Bow. You know what? Look, mom would drop back. Mom would drop back. You'd be like, you know what, I really am sleepy. Look what time it is. Oh, I can't believe I'm taking a nap at 1:15. Thank you so much. But naps are a marvelous thing, and I know we see all the memes about it, but I kid you not. Yesterday, I'm sitting down, and we had all these little football games on, and like I said, some of them were not so interesting to watch because we only had we only had 3 games to choose from because Fox only gave us 1 game, and then we had the 2 games on CBS, and because the Cowboys-Bengals game was on CBS. So we only had 3 games to watch from all day until the Sunday night game. And I sat down in that chair, and I made taco salad yesterday for lunch, for like between lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
And boy, look, when I tell you, I made with the street taco spices, and bruh, look, I put the cheese on the top and the paste picante thick salsa with the taco sauce. And I didn't have no olives or nothing like that. But we had some shredded lettuce, and then it was with Doritos. Boy, let me tell you, I had 2 plates. I sat down, I watched the game. I was like, Dallas won, huh? Cool. Next thing I know, I woke up and it was 9:15. Man, that was a good nap. So I said, I'm saying that to tell you, and don't say nothing about me being old, because my recliner is very comfortable. It's very well worn in, and it will suck you in and put you to sleep. So yeah, naps are good. Take more naps. That's all I got. What you got for your 2-minute?
Man, you know how I like to do. I mean, I could add on to that. Like, yeah, but getting old does play a part.
Hold on. Let me stop you for a second. You have to use the right term. The right term is piggyback.
Oh, it's my bad. Piggyback. What? Okay, I had to rerun it back. What I say?
It's talking about getting old and all of that stuff. That's what he was going with.
Yeah. When I get old, I found out once you get old, you can take those naps in any type of position. Like I've been sitting on the couch like straight up, and there's
facts, big facts.
Be watching the back of my eyelids in no time. And then naps are great. Don't get me wrong. The 1 or 2 hour ones like that, but you don't. I mean, I'm sure you've done the same thing. Lay down for a nap and you wake up. You go to bed when the sun outside, and you wake up when it's dark in the house, like no light on at all. But yeah, take those little cat naps. I mean, I ain't saying like sleep all day, but yeah, those are definitely good for you. That kind of stuff, and that will rejuvenate. And
brother, I'm here to tell you. Sometimes we don't realize just how much we put our bodies through during the week. Whether even if you just have an office job, I have a job where I sit at a desk all day, and I used to say to myself, between being in the military, working as a karaoke DJ, which meant setting up equipment, breaking down equipment, driving an hour, sometime an hour and a half one way to get to the show, and then back home at the end of the night, working for the post office, having all these physically demanding jobs. I said, man, I can't wait to get an office job. Sometimes at the end of the day, I go through more stuff on my office job that I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I just want to go home. And I have discovered that if I got stuff to do on Saturday and Sunday, I can't lay down. Or it's a wrap. My day is done. I wake up and be like, oh man, I'm going to go to the post office. I done let the bank close, and I missed the pharmacy.
Yep. So, you lay down, it's a wrap. I mean, you're just stuck. Like if you lay down, it's over with. You ain't gonna do half the stuff you say you're gonna do. But yeah, but to go back to it, is like my bedtime is actually when I have Brady, and more times than not, if I don't have him, his bedtime is my bedtime. Like we'll go to bed at 8:30. Like I mean, that's how it is, And I'll still sleep a good 12 hours. But
I hear you, bro.
But sometimes you can sleep too much, man. I don't like to sleep too much because you wake up more tired than you did when you lay down. So.
I hear you on that, man. I'm 100% hear you on that. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, that would do it for this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. We do appreciate y'all stopping through and hanging with us today. On behalf of myself and Colin P, we really do appreciate you. The viewership has grown. Thank you for that. Please don't stop sharing and liking and all of that good stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and Colin and I are going to say our goodbyes, and then we're going to show you this video that for whatever reason decided to stop playing, and then we're going to get out of here. That'll give you the Let's Talk Football family of shows lineup, and then we'll get out of here. So on behalf of myself, Mr. Fingers from Zagnif Central, and the homie, the brother from another, Colin P. from the DMV, we appreciate you all. We love you all. Thank you, for tuning in. We will see you on either Thursday or Friday evening. That is yet to be determined. But in the meantime, see you later, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.